Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Definiti Retirement Academy. I want to go ahead and give a special thank you to our sponsors who helped make this possible. Today, for day 3, we're going to hear from Voya, our Definiti team, and John Hancock. To kick things off, we have Cassie Churchill, TPA National President from Voya, and she's going to discuss with us financial wellness. I ask that if you have any questions, please go ahead and submit them via chat during the presentation. And once the presentation is over, we will go ahead and try to answer all of your questions. Thank you. And Cassie, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. And welcome, everyone. I'm going to just take a minute and share my screen. We'll get this presentation going. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. As Justin mentioned, I am Cassandra Churchill, and I am the National TPA Vice President at Voya, and I handle all of our national relationships. So I am excited to be here today and to discuss financial wellness. So I'm going to get right to it. So with that, what is financial wellness, right? Well, financial wellness, from our point of view, is a healthy balance between living for today while also financially preparing for tomorrow. Now, it's not necessarily about being wealthy, but it's more a state of mind of mental well-being, right? So one in which they feel they have control over their current finances and have confidence in their financial decisions. So when we asked people what financial wellness means to them, they talked about how they feel, right? It's more of an emotional trigger. The responses we got were, living within your means, being prepared for the unexpected, also being able to achieve that state of financial confidence at every stage of your life. But more importantly, it was having the freedom to even indulge a little and embrace life, right? We also looked at, why does financial wellness matter? Well, there's a lot of data that's supporting a very simple idea. People get stressed out about their finances. Imagine that, right? Self-included. So with a recent study, as you can see on the screen, 47% said they are stressed out about their finances. 72% said they feel stressed about money at least some of the time. And then 25% report that issues with personal finances have been a distraction for them even at work. So as you can see, we're dealing with real issues, nothing to be embarrassed about, and it's just part of life. So we looked at, where do we begin? So here at Voya, we built a financial wellness experience on 6 pillars, which I'm going to walk you all through today, which we think are foundational to overall healthy financial wellness. So our pillars include both short-term and long-term goals. And while all 6 of the pillars are important, we think that when you're in control of your short-term goals, it'll be a lot easier and you'll be more equipped to handle your long-term goals. So what are short-term goals? Well, we list them out as protection, which means protecting your income and making sure you have adequate health and disability insurance and other types of insurance that may be appropriate for your situation. Spending and saving, managing your cash flow so you spend less than you make. And then emergency savings, having money to cover those unexpected expenses. And then long-term, it's, retirement, you want to save for your financial future. You have debt, you want to make sure you're managing your debt appropriately. And then other saving goals, maybe it's buying a house or, I have a daughter that's going to college, or maybe it's a big vacation that you're saving for. So our first pillar is understanding your protection needs. So protection is really about insurance. And you can think about it in 2 basic areas. 1, protecting yourself today, and then 2, protecting your future tomorrow. So protecting yourself today is really about protecting your earnings and your savings, right? You want to make sure that any unexpected medical expenses you are prepared for, because otherwise that can lead to extreme pressure on your finances. And it's also the leading cause of personal bankruptcy. Now, you may even suffer a disability or go through an illness or an accident. So that could also limit your ability to pay your bills. So having health insurance and disability insurance, that's critical protection products to consider. And then you want to think about protecting your future, right? And that's really planning ahead. So life insurance is a great way to protect your loved ones when you're no longer around, especially when they have to transition during a really difficult time in their life. So long-term care insurance is another way to protect your finances in the event of future medical issues. And then finally, you want to make sure you have a will. So just a quick tip for saving for healthcare. I wanted to mention this because I know it's a hot topic, right? You hear a lot about HSAs and FSAs. Now, both are great. They have tax deductions, or they're tax deductible, excuse me. And you could take distributions that are tax free as long as they're used for qualifying medical expenses. An HSA is seen to have more flexibility than an FSA. So a health savings account versus a flexible spending account. The health savings account, you can set aside pre-taxed money towards your annual health care, but it can roll over, right? It can carry over. Whereas the flexible spending, you're kind of backed into having to use it in a set time frame. But both are, great options to have when you're considering, long-term investment vehicles, and even short-term if you're thinking of the FSA. But the HSA is great for a long-term when you're thinking about, different ways to help alleviate some of those healthcare expenses that you might occur once you're on your way into retirement. All right, so now I'm going to jump to pillar 2. So focus on spending and saving. So, establishing healthy spending and saving habits. These are significant for when you want to improve your overall financial wellness, right? And it's never too late to start, which is great. So you want to make sure, you know where your money's going. That's important. You want to be familiar with your finances, not just the small buys or the big buys. And then you want to give some extra attention to what you're spending your money on. Maybe that's making a list, putting your transactions into categories, making sure you know where all of your money is going, more or less, right? So then you're able to say, okay, I know where I'm spending. How can I shift my focus to saving? So let's talk about that. So saving money, right? This one's a little trickier for myself. I like spending. But when it comes to saving, it helps to have objectives in mind, right? So you want to think about, what are your financial goals? What are you trying to achieve? Whether it's the short term, like you want to pay down a debt, or if it's the long term and you're saving for retirement and everything in between. So you want to think about what's most important to you. What are things that make you happy? Are they going to make you happy in 10 or 20 years from now, not just in the short term? And then this is where you really want to know what your needs and wants and wishes are. And I know this seems basic, but it's actually really critical when you're thinking about, your overarching goals and getting you on the right path. So budgeting, right? Oh, the dirty word. It's always been seemed to think of, oh, you're a penny pincher or you never have any fun or spend money. But when I'm talking about a budget, I'm really talking about more of a spend and saving program. So primarily it just helps you manage your cash flow, right? So this way you can maximize your money that's coming in so you can be more efficient of how it goes out and where you're spending and saving. Again, your budget will show you if you're overspending, and then some actions you need to take to stop that. And it will also focus your attention on how to spend smart. So you will have a surplus of money at the end of the month. So just some things to consider. What are your fixed and variable expenses, detailing your expenses, and then plan on having a good time. Then, be prepared for it, right? Like give yourself the freedom so you can have fun. So that's what I mean when I say budget. So then pillar 3 is talking about creating an emergency fund. So why is an emergency fund so important? Well, a recent study showed that 46% of Americans could not meet an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money. So either having to put it on a credit card or take a loan. So that's a pretty incredible statistic. And I'm sure it's actually even probably higher considering what's happening nowadays. And again, it just kind of reinforces the importance of putting money aside to prepare for the unexpected. Now, pillar 4 talks a little bit about saving for retirement, right? So I want you to take a minute and imagine your retirement. So what do you see? You know, for me, I'm traveling, having the time of my life. For you, maybe it's a new home, maybe, you know, it's a boat, maybe you're saving up for that Corvette you always wanted to buy. But whatever it is, you know, the choices you make now have an impact for you tomorrow. So, you know, sometimes it just really boils down when it comes to saving money to having the right strategy. So there's many steps you could take now that could help you up for a financial situation later. And one of the most important steps and a good rule of thumb is to save early and often. Okay, so as I said, right, the earlier the better. So why does starting now matter? Well, it's kind of simple. The longer you save, the more money you'll have in retirement, hopefully, right? But how could such a simple concept be so essential? Well, it's because of time, right? So time is one of the most important factors that we have, and the most important factor of how much you will have when you retire. So when you invest through your employer retirement plan, the return on your money will automatically be reinvested. So the thought is the longer you have to invest, the greater the opportunity for your investment to potentially grow. And as these earnings on those investments get reinvested and continue to grow on and on and on, it's the process of compounding. And it can be a powerful growth engine for your savings, right? So, you know, you may have also heard the term, the more money you have, the more money you make. It's simply that. All right. So how much should you save, right? Is there a magic number? Well, here at Voya, we are very much into innovation, which is fantastic. And we have a great resource called My Orange Money. It's an interactive educational tool that's online. And now once you enroll into a Voya plan, it allows you to see how the decisions you make with your current retirement assets will translate into monthly income in retirement. So you can type in, you know, if I save an extra 1% or 10%, what does that do for me over time? And maybe I want to retire early, and you can play around with the tool and it will let you know where you stand and how to get you where you want to be with minimal impact to your day-to-day finances. All right, so pillar 5, managing your debt. Let's talk about debt, right? So there's good debt and there's bad debt. So good debt, as we've learned, is student loans or mortgages because they have a relatively low tax-adjusted interest rate. And it could be a potential investment in an asset that could grow. Bad debt, on the other hand, is credit cards and even those department store cards. So those are bad. But as I mentioned earlier, you might need to lean on those if you don't have an emergency fund set aside, or if you just have undisciplined spending. So you really want to get ahead of, you know, and understanding what debt do you have and then focus on managing it. Now, the last pillar I want to talk to you about today is pillar 6, right? And this is saving for other financial goals. So there are different types of savings that you should aim to accumulate over time, right? And we already discussed the emergency savings, which again is money you can dip into at any time to cover unplanned bills. But when we're thinking about short-term savings, we generally talk about an emergency fund. Though you might aim to accumulate a short-term savings for other purposes. Like I said, buying that boat or getting that vehicle or even taking, you know, a big vacation now that we're all out and about again. But then there's the retirement savings or a long-term savings, which you'll need in order to cover your expenses once you no longer have that steady paycheck coming in from work. So both short-term and long-term savings are extremely important. But whereas you'll probably house the former in a bank account, you may want to invest the latter for maximum growth. So we have a tool where your journey can begin. And I would like to invite all of you to start your journey with our financial wellness experience. This is an interactive experience. You don't have to be logged into a plan. You can access it right on our website. And basically, it helps you think about your financial priorities in a way that you hadn't thought of before. And then it also helps teach you how to take those meaningful actions that we chatted about today. So again, this is more of a personalized, guided, educational experience tool, and it has 3 components to it. So one, they have a resource center, which has all sorts of good educational materials. So for instance, I mentioned earlier having a will. Well, maybe you're not sure on what the first step to take to get a will is. You can go to this resource center and it will help you and guide you to getting that done. And then next is a brief financial wellness assessment. So basically what it does is you take this assessment and then it will score your financial health across those 6 pillars that I talked to you about today. And then from there, it will prompt you on areas to work on based on what that score is for each of those pillars. So maybe you're doing great with your emergency savings, but you need some help when it comes to budgeting. And then again, there's tons of articles and resources and how-tos within the dashboard. And then lastly, it gives you a personalized financial wellness dashboard, right? Where it lays everything out. Now that the assessment's done, you'll see all the 6 pillars. You can click into them at any time. You can retake the assessment at any time as things change and get, even more information. So from there, then you can actually know what to target and what your situation is. So with that, I know I went kind of quickly through it all, but I just appreciate the time today. I hope everyone found this information valuable. I would just like to thank Definiti for this opportunity. I hope you all have a chance to log in to our financial wellness site and kind of browse and take a peek at it. It is at voyaretirementplans.com. So even if you just go to the Voya site and type in financial wellness, it should link you to it. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them. Justin?
Yes, we do have some questions here.
Oh, great.
First one. How do you deliver basic financial wellness to the most beginner level audience without being totally patronizing to that group while also not losing the more financially savvy employees?
Ooh, a zinger. Okay.
Right.
Well, let me think about this. No, it's a great question, actually. So what I love about this tool is it's unique in that it dumbs it all the way down or it elevates it all the way up, right? So to answer that question, I would say use the resources you have, Voya being one of them, right? Come to our site, browse our material, and you can have educated conversations on whatever level you need to, based on the information that we're offering and providing, right? Because you can go down to the lowest level and start here, or you can dial it all the way up for those that are, to your point, more novice, without coming off condescending or know-it-all-ish, right? So hopefully that helps, and I answered that appropriately.
Thank you. Next question. Does Voya offer an emergency savings program?
I'm not sure what you mean. I know So for us, we're coming at it from the small market retirement plans, right?
Mhm.
As far as I know, we don't have any features within your retirement plan to create an emergency savings account. We have more from this angle resources to talk about how to, right? So how to set one up, what's the appropriate dollar amount. When you do this assessment, it will say, okay, well, based on everything that you've inputted here, you should save, I'm making this up, but like $200, start there. And in order to do that, take $5 a paycheck. But to answer the question directly, no, we do not have an actual like log in and send us money for emergency savings.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And that was our last question submitted via chat. Do we have anyone else in the audience who would like to ask a question that did not get a chance to submit it? All right. So thank you, Cassie, for that. And
Yeah.
thank you to Voya for starting off our academy today. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So really fast, I wanted to give Cassie the floor to clarify a quick question that we had earlier on if Voya offers an emergency savings. Cassie, go ahead.
Thanks, Justin. And my apologies. I just got clarification that we do have an emergency savings solution. So I just wanted to make sure I went on record with the correct information. But Voya launched it last year with Millennium Trust and BlackRock as their emergency savings initiative, along with collaborating with the national nonprofit Commonwealth. So we do offer that service, and I am happy to send out any information on it for those wanting more details. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you so much, and I'll turn it back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Cassie.